Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Calling All Beings. I'm your host Nathan, and I'm joined by my wonderful cast and friends and co-hosts of the show. DJ, who is on the road. Normally he's doing the intro, as you all know, and I'm not going to try and top a DJ intro. I will never succeed in doing that, but he will be joining us shortly live as he gets to his home. But DJ, say a quick hello to everybody if you can hear us.
Hi, Nathan. And you know what? Your intros are fantastic, as are you.
Well, that, oh, see, like I said, guys, he's a good cop. He's
So sweet.
What a nice guy. And then joining us as well, we have Akashi Chris. He's the host of Mindforked on YouTube. You can find that channel. And definitely click subscribe and follow. And we've got Boston Bia and Leah Prime. So a wonderful round panel here tonight joining us with a very special guest. We're extremely excited to have join us this evening. We have the host of the Unreported podcast with NewsNation, as well as the co-host and producer of the Reality Check show with Ross Coulthard, as DJ likes to say. And we're very lucky to have with us this evening Meagan Medick. And everybody give a warm round of applause to Meagan.
Hi, how are you guys?
Party
Listen to
people,
sound
put those
effects.
hands together for Meagan.
Here's DJ.
There we go. There we go. That's more like it. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yes!
Hi.
It's like when the restaurant asks you how much spice do you want with the dish. Do you want the medium or mild or the extra spicy? DJ's the extra spicy,
Nathan, I
so-
always say hot, so
Yeah, well,
I'm comfortable on this.
You're in the right place. So great to have you with us,
Thank
Meagan. The way we kind of do things on this show is we just go around asking questions and diving into topics wherever they may lead us.
Okay.
We want to start out, though, with getting you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you fell into this space of UFOs and UAP, and you also are tackling other difficult conversations that aren't tackled in the standard traditional media. So, Meagan, how did you land here?
Yeah, I mean, loaded question. I don't want to bore anyone ever. I think that's the job of a producer is like, don't ever make your audience bored. So I kind of live in the space of like short form, long form. So if you need me to shut up, like say shut up, I'm happy to do it. I was an executive producer for years and years and years, about 17 years. I did television news, local network, was the first executive producer over at NewsNation back in 2000. And I just lived in a control room and building shows and doing live TV and prepping anchors. And I took a little break. And when I came back, I was like, what can I do from home? Like everyone got to work from home during COVID and I never did. So I was like kind of itching to like see what remote work was like. And NewsNation was like, hey, we're really ramping up our podcast space. We're trying to build out our YouTube page and, we've got some shows. Can you help on a couple of them? I'm like, yeah, like no problem. Like give them to me. And they're like, we have this one show. It's about UFOs. And, I had seen the David Grush stuff and everything, but that happened while I was on my little break. And I had seen it, been a part of it, following everything. And they were like, we have this UFO show, but it's pretty good. Like, we don't really need a lot of producer help on it. And then a couple months in, Reality Check just kept exploding and exploding. And then they were like, we actually need some help. And I'm like, great, what do you need me to do? And they're like, just work with Ross. So Ross and I got paired up and it was a great pair. We just get along really well. We understand each other. I speak his language. He speaks mine. I'm great at understanding, like what's confidential and what's not. And we just kind of pushed the show and kept going and kept going. And Ross is a genius and I love working with him. I've worked with so many different talent and so many different anchors. And Ross has just been incredible from day one and he cares a lot. So it just kind of transitioned into, hey, now we're doing the Q&A and hey, now we're doing Unreported. And I feel very thankful for the opportunity and the journey. It's been 2 years now that I've been hand in hand with Ross, and it's just been really cool. We've been to LA together. We just were in DC together like 2 weeks ago doing some stuff. And, the narrative has changed, the landscape has changed, and it's been fun. Just an unexpected journey.
Yeah, and I think we could echo that with covering this space on CAB for the last few years. It has been an unexpected journey, and it continues to be. There's a lot of stuff that surprises us in the news cycle all the time, and you kind of think that we're going a certain direction, and then something pops up and takes us in an entirely different place. But I want to pass it over to DJ. If he's still with us, he may have a question for you, and then we'll go around the horn here.
Sure.
Yes. I'm glad I still have a cell signal, and I'm probably only for about the next minute and a half in this rural area till I get home. But Meagan, like, this space is a difficult space. It tends to paint people in certain boxes. I think you mentioned that maybe you're being attacked from people, I guess, who are trying to assert that this isn't a real thing after all the evidence, and you kind of wonder where that comes. How's it been dealing with sort of negativity in the space, espousing that what you're covering is not real?
Truly, that's been the hardest part. I have never dealt with, like social media blowback or criticism. I've never been on camera. I've been a producer for 17 years. So I've never felt that before. And that was the hardest part when I kind of got into all this, because I didn't really understand. I'm like, what's everyone's problem? Like, look at all this evidence. Like, look at this cool product. Look at all this stuff that we're doing. Like, so I didn't really get it. And then when, they asked me to start doing the Q&A and then the spinoff and all this stuff, like the more and more social media pushback when people are mean online, it just blows my mind. I don't know, like maybe I'm just very naive, or I would never ever be mean to anyone, period, let alone on social media. So that was kind of the hardest part for me, was understanding that, people are going to say something no matter what. And I did talk to Ross about it at the beginning. I had done an interview with somebody, and somebody like, I was going to bed and I was like, oh, let me just open X. And somebody like taken a clip of what I had said and was like calling me a liar and like compared it to something else. And I was like, wait, that's not true. Like you are like misinterpreting my words, or like I was edited in a certain way. But like, so then I was like going back, I was like, did I actually say that? Like, that's not true. And it like, I lost a couple nights sleep over it, because I was like, I know that's not true, but somebody is like trying to paint me in a bad light. And again, I've just never experienced anything like that. I've just been I'm just kind. Like, I just want to be kind. And so I talked to Ross about it, and Ross was like, Meagan, these are losers in their mom's basement. He's like, never respond, never engage. He was like, keep going. Like, we just keep doing our job. And I'm like, okay, great. But, people not being not nice was the hardest part about all of this. And, that's originally why I wasn't going to do Unreported, because I was like, I don't really feel like I want to be in a space where people have access to me to, be nice or be mean. So I turned down the spinoff, I think back in October. I was approached about it, and I was like, that's not for me. Like, no, thank you. I'm happy in my producer lane. And then it came up again, and I was like, well, let's, think about it a little more, and then end up being the right choice for me to say yes and keep going. But I live a positive life. I've been very open with everybody on my shows and with Ross that, I'm a Christian, not that has anything to do with kindness, but I think it, kind of keeps me on the straight and narrow of like what's important. And I think what's important is, knowing who your friends and your family are, and who's going to be good to you, and who you need to spend your time with, and what matters to you in life. And a lot of this disclosure and working in this space has really reinforced that for me, because I feel now that life has a bigger meaning and a bigger purpose, and there's so much else going on that I keep my focus when I'm not working on the things that are really important in life, and not worrying about the background noise. I'm never going to lie. I might be wrong about things here and there. Of course, I'm human. I might make a mistake or get a fact wrong or a data point, or if I'm exposing industrial war complex, I might get a number of billions or trillions wrong, but it'll never be intentional. I would never intentionally lie. So just, focusing on what's important in your life has really been the key for keeping going in this role with Reality Check and Unreported.
That's awesome.
Go
ahead, Jay.
Yep, sorry. As I pass this on, I think there's two things at play here. One of them is that people are trying to trigger you, and that's the
Yeah.
purpose and nature of the commentary. And the other
True.
thing is that when you're going to have a conversation about anything that's difficult, the precursor is that we're going to have an honest conversation.
Yeah.
And there are people that approach this from the perspective of not having an honest conversation because they're serving a different goal than
Yeah.
what a honest conversation portends. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like where the different aspects of that come from. I just did an episode of Unreported last week on Dr. Fauci and some documents that Tulsi Gabbard had released and Big Pharma and the COVID vaccine, and I was absolutely eaten alive by people on Instagram to the point where I was like, well, I'm not looking at my phone for a couple of days. I was getting eaten alive. But on YouTube, the comments were very positive. And then over on TikTok, I got banned. So they just pulled me right off that platform. So won't see me there.
Well, I'm glad you talked about values because I think it is so important, and values really shouldn't be something that are fungible. They shouldn't be something that we, put on one value for one instance and change it for something at another time. So I'm glad that you led with that. And, unfortunately, when it comes to hard hitting questions and being mean to you, you came onto the wrong show because we're a pretty mean questioning.
That's fine.
bunch.
I love it.
Yeah. No, we're actually really.
I like it now.
we're often known for being unduly kind to folks, but we're really great to have you with us. And I want to pass it over to my good friend and co-host Akashi. I know she's got some great questions.
Hey.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Oh my God, Meagan, I'm so excited to meet you. I was watching that your unreported reports. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so good. So, but I do want to ask because it's important that we understand kind of how you got here from like your mindset on UFOs. Like you had an experience. Can you talk to us a little bit about like before all this came about? Like where was your head on all this phenomena, and then how you got here? Because that's a lot to come through for the last 2 years only do this. So please.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely wild 2 years. I was always a believer. I grew up in Las Vegas. I'm a very proud Nevadan. Go Knights go. So, we grew up with Area 51 and Skinwalker Ranch. And, I grew up with the family, the Bigelow family, on my tennis team. Like we were always kind of involved in that. Like our minor league baseball team were like the 51s. So it was always like a part of, the Vegas culture. And it was always talked about. And I never found like a weird stigma about it. Of course, people are always like, oh, like, haha, like don't cover this, like, or blah, 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 like in news. But I've always been like, oh, there's weird, can I say shit? Sorry. There's weird shit.
You won't be the first person to swear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nor the last.
Yeah.
Weird stuff going on. I saw ghosts when I was a kid, and like I've told that story multiple times, like to my friends to this day. I'm like, this happened, you guys. Like I remember it distinctly. So I've always felt like there was something else going on. Was I like extremely in tune to this topic or like researching it or following it closely? No, but I was always willing and ready to do it because it was great and Ross is great. And I never felt the stigma for it that this could be fake or this could be made up. There's so much evidence. I've always thought that aliens and stuff were real. My view has obviously shifted over the last 2 years of like, what could that actually mean? But that just goes through different periods of research, right? Like in different periods of like, what are we looking into right now on the show? And what am I going to be diving into? We did a lot of series on the moon. So like that was really interesting for me. And then, Ross went to Egypt and doing a lot of research on that was very interesting for me. And then, I was tasked with doing the underwater, the USO special. And I was like, well, this is very interesting to me. And then, I look at stuff of cavemen, like with their drawings and their caves of like the aliens and the things and this. And I'm like, well, has this been here all along? And then I did an interview with Timothy Alberino about the Book of Enoch. And like, we really talked about like, he's like, in his idea of it is like, in the Bible, like these aliens come down. He's like, some of them are described as being on chariots. He's like, is that a UFO? And I'm like, that's a great point. It's a great point, Tim. So, you just have to follow the evidence, but every storyline that we've tackled has really opened my eyes to different possibilities. And captured my attention. Like, I think it's all super interesting, and I love it. I love this topic. I love this community. I love that we're like working towards something. That was the biggest thing for me, like, was school projects, everything back in the day, and why I got into news in the first place was I can't work for no reason. Like, if I'm going to actually work, I need an end result, like, right away. Like sales, like, I could never do that. I'd be like, oh my God, nothing happened today. Like, and that's why I like the news. Like, I built a show. We did a show, it went live. Okay, we're done for the day. We worked, it happened. I love working in the space. Like, we're working towards stuff and we're seeing new things happen every single day. And new facets of the phenomenon are just revealing themselves to me all along. I told Ross that's on the show, I was in Greece in October, and, you know, I saw an orb, and it was just incredible and so eye-opening. I was just transfixed and locked in on it. And Ross, like, to this day, like, he called the Tedesco brothers and he's like, listen to Meagan's testament. He's like, tell me what you think. And like, they sent all these data points about exactly where I was and stuff. And Ross to this day is like, Meagan, that showed itself to you on purpose. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, I'm not that special, but like, that maybe Ross, but Ross is like staunch that an orb like sought me out, which is kind of cool. Why not?
Love that.
You saw Ghost when you were young. So, you know, people like, so I always think that this stuff kind of follows you over time. You know, like, once you see it, you have, it's like the whole, you're entangled to it. But I'm going to let the other cabbies, because I think you and I could be best friends and I could talk to you all night. So, but I want to make sure the other cabbies talk, because we can talk later. But anyway, go ahead, Nathan. Who's next?
No,
Take
fabulous. Let's go to Bia.
Hey, Meagan, thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your story. And I think that was great advice, you know, that you gave about, you know, when people are attacking you online, that you do have that choice, whether you want to engage or, you know, just put the phone down, and it's okay to walk away from your phone and not, you know, because I think a lot of people feel compelled to have to respond, and not everything has to be cleared up. But that was great advice. And, you know, somebody like you telling the rest of us, like, it's okay to do that in our audience. Like, we love that. So I guess my question, that what I was thinking was, out of all the UFO stories and things you've heard, what's one that kind of sticks out the most to you?
It always has to be Version Ha. I love that story. I'm so embedded in that story. I've interviewed all those guys. I've been in DC with them. James Fox and I have become friends. And I just think that story has so many layers to it, and it's so easy to follow. I love this story because it's just so easy to follow. It's like, here. So you really can hold someone's hand all the way through that. And it's not a complicated mess. It's easy dots to connect. And then you make up your own mind in the end. Like, you know, I'm never here to tell you to believe something one way or another. Like, you make up your own mind. You're an individual. My biggest thing in life is critically think. Please just critically think on your own. And I love you no matter what you decide, if you agree with me or not. But Version Ha, I love that case. Because it was not just like a one, like, oh, there was something weird in the sky, let's all move on, but somebody got a funky picture of it over a thing. There's multiple witnesses that have nothing to do with each other, multiple days, all these different accounts, and 30 years later, people are still standing true to that, and more is still coming out. So I love that story. I feel connected to it. I spoke with Ronnie Vernay the other day. He is a researcher in Brazil. He's incredible. He's extremely smart. And he gave me his whole theory on Version Ha on my personal podcast, not with NewsNation, but I just wanted more. Like, I just love that story and think it's great. So, and I think that's also a really good entry point into not just UFO stories, but also the U.S.'s possible involvement in these potential crash retrievals and the secretiveness and the deception. Because I think it's undeniable that the United States went in with their fleet and took some stuff and left, which would be great, you know, information to have. Some pilot can come forward or something come forward and say like, oh yeah, that's a fact. But it also literally leads you directly into where we are today of like, okay, let's see who has it. Like who are the big corporations that are hiding this stuff and hiding this tech. So I think it just really is a full circle. Here's where we are today's story over 30 years.
Excellent. Leah.
Oh, and sorry,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, please.
I actually unfortunately did respond to a troll today. But they said I had to, because they said tell your EP to talk to you, because I found like I feel like I'm watching someone who's had too many beers, and I was actually in the room with my EP, and I read him the comment, and I responded and I said thanks a lot. Now I'm not allowed to drink beers anymore. So a bummer for me.
Major bummer.
It's a bummer.
Awesome. Yeah,
Love beers.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Megan. So great to meet you. Thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah.
The UFO subject is fascinating because people have astonishingly personal connections to the subject. And, as a result, if you say anything that may be at odds or take a different approach with what an audience's view is, it can be deeply triggering to them, right? For a whole slew of reasons. So I'm super curious about what it's like to work with Ross. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about like the division of labor between the two of you, like who chases which sources, where you guys are super aligned, and then also like where you might disagree editorially.
Yeah. I'll just answer the last question first.
Sure.
Editorially, we really don't disagree. I think the only place where we're not aligned is, Ross is not religious and I am, but I think that makes us a good pair, because there are so many people that believe in the phenomenon who also are religious and, believe in Jesus, etc. And so I always like to, balance that for him, to give him that different viewpoint. Ross is really, you guys, he's the mastermind of this whole thing. We pitch him stories, but he is in the trenches, like digging out sources. And I'll sit on, like, if he finds a source or someone, then like he'll send us a brief, and then, or sometimes we'll make a brief for him, depending on timing and what's going on. And then if there's a really good source and we're like, let's just do a camera test. Like, let's just get them on and see if this is a real whistleblower. And, one night we sat on a StreamYard just like this, and this person didn't want to show their face or anything. So they had like some screens up over them. And we did like a 3-hour conversation with this guy. And then we're still vetting that line for line, like going back over every single thing. So we take it extremely seriously, which is obviously the most important thing in this entire topic, is to take it seriously and not bring anything to table that we haven't vetted to the 9th degree. We just hired a research producer. His name is Rob Jones. He's fantastic.
He's a treasure.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Rob, genius. Love him. So thankful for him. He has really helped our team do a lot of the legwork since they've been moved over to unreported as well. So he has been such a massive help for all of us, and he's so smart. So we're so thankful for him. He has been doing a lot of legwork into a couple of the trips that we have coming up, and helping us vet sources. I go through the inbox, and if I see something that I think is important, I'll send it to Ross, or we'll respond, or I'll say, hey, Rob, check this person out. And then maybe we can have them come on with Ross and I. So it's really just a division of labor, really. But Ross is like, if Ross pitches something, we're like, we know that's going to be a hit. Like, you're not wrong. You haven't been wrong much, pal. So we really trust him. There's only been like one time where he sent us something, and I set up a camera crew, and we went out and filmed some stuff, and then it all came back and we're like, yep, those were planes. So that one's not going to work. But as for what it's like working with him, it's great. He's super funny. He's super personable. He's a treasure. I really love him. We get along super well, like I said earlier. And, we really talk about other things other than, UFOs. We're always like I literally, before I joined this, I was on with him, and I was like, tell your wife I said hi. Like, I could hear in the background. I'm like, tell her I said hi. Like, how's it going? Whatever. How are your daughters? Like, his son-in-law his name is Gus. He's a cutie. We always tease him about that, because Gus is also a videographer. So sometimes when we do Ross's shoots down in Sydney, we'll have Gus be the freelancer, and we're like, hey, cutie Gus. And Ross is like, get off my son-in-law. And we're like, leave us alone. Let us live. So it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's serious work, but it's also a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
And one of our usual co-hosts who's unable to join us tonight, but is joining us in the chat. She did have a question for you. I'm going to put it up here. So this is from Deb, also known as A Study of UAP. So Deb is asking, what do you think is the best evidence of the phenomena? So I know that you did talk about Virginia, but what evidence is compelling to you? And maybe if you want to give us a hint, is there anything you haven't that isn't public that has compelled you that you wish you could share? Obviously, you're not going to tell us, but is there something like that?
Yeah, there's probably some stuff like that would get me in trouble that I've seen and read. Nothing like I'm sure everyone could guess. I think from my standpoint as a producer on the show, the most compelling thing, because I'm so connected to the viewers with the Q&A and I'm in the emails, etc. I see the same story from absolute strangers over and over and over and over again. You know, people just write in and they're like, I have to tell you what happened, or I have to send you this video, etc. So I'm literally seeing absolute strangers from all around the world who do not know each other, have no connection to each other, sending me the same stories, the same content. I'm like, well, how could that be made up? Like, I could see if it was like, hey, here's 15 people all in the Southern California area who are just like pulling a prank and they're like, hey, let's tell this tale. But I mean, the blue orb out of the window with the motherly calming feelings, like that story is like all up in my inbox and from just a variety of people. So what's compelling to me is real people with the same story over and over and over. If everyone had a different story, I would still, I would never think that somebody is lying or making something up. I know that that does happen in this space, that people can do that for attention. But look, I'm going to believe everybody and we're going to investigate your claims and reach out if we can. But it's, the most compelling thing to me is that I'm literally seeing the whole world tell similar stories. And it's just like, how is that possible if they're not real?
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I'm sure Ross would echo that as well. I mean, the things that he gets and with his book In Plain Sight, you know, he certainly felt compelled to put that together. You know, it's fascinating because this subject really does bring people together to talk about something that we've really felt uncomfortable talking about publicly for a very long time. And your recent show on Unreported, you know, spoke to kind of the way that our systems are broken, you know, that Congress is broken and these moneyed interests are kind of running society right now. And, you know, what's your sense with this topic in particular in kind of changing the direction that we're on? You know, you think it has an opportunity to course correct how we've fallen into this place where society is just being led around by special interest and the dollar?
Well, I think that's very hard to do. I'm in the middle of a 3-part series on war and industrial war complex. I shot my last interview on that today, and it's just so deep and so complicated. It would literally take an entire overhaul of the entire government, and I unfortunately just don't find that to be possible or plausible. There's just too much greed there. In regards to the UFO topic, the only reason I think that they wouldn't be telling us the truth, I know that, you know, some people said, oh, it'll rock humanity, it'll this, it'll that. But I am nervous that companies like Boeing and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon are saying at this particular time in history not to disclose it because they're all picking up so many more government contracts at this particular time to make weapons and send them overseas and get back into war and develop these bombers. And we also see this happening in Silicon Valley. You know, all of these guys are now getting into the weapon space. They're not just making games and those AI goggles, you know, they're all getting into the weapon space. And of course there's drones. So I'm nervous that disclosure might be disrupted by what's happening within these deep institutions and lobbyists and private corporations in the private sector. I'm nervous that there's a sentient there that might cross over into disclosure. However, could it be a wild card that Trump uses and, you know, hey, we got a space race happening right now with China, and we have to take over the South Pole of the moon first, or X, Y, and Z. And if we don't say it, they're going to say it. Possibly. I think the difference is that we are technically a democracy, and our people, Americans, can speak up and have a say with their government, and places like China are not. So even if people in China were calling for disclosure and transparency, it's an authoritative regime. They say, shut up, and we're not listening. And that's kind of how it goes. I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, for sure. I mean, it's interesting to hear your perspective, because obviously you're in the business to some degree of telling the story, right? Of creating a narrative and telling it from a particular perspective. And that's very valuable. And I think society, we lean heavily on the storytellers to help us make sense of the world. And this experience, whatever we want to call it, interrupts people's experience of that narrative and flips a lot of that on its head, and kind of changes their entire worldview. So it's got this incredibly disruptive quality to it that I think, I'm curious how society at large is going to wrestle with that, because it seems like it doesn't leave any institution untouched in terms of what disclosure may mean for us.
Yeah. Well, could that be why they want our heads down in our phones 24/7? Why they want us preoccupied in other things? Why we are just constantly distracted by the next shiny light and not actually going outside and living life and talking to other people face to face and putting our feet in the grass? And, we're kind of in these virtual reality headsets, living in a simulation. Is that by design to distract us? I don't know, but something to think about.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Akashi spent a lot of time thinking about that too. So, Akashi, what you got?
I was mute. I was trying to get to my button. There's a ton of questions popping up, but I do want to ask something. So personally, so you've been pretty open-minded, obviously, based on the previous answer. So is there anything that your perspective has just completely shifted, like in the last 5 years, where you were in one place and now you're like, I can't, and something maybe surprising that you're now believing that you didn't believe before? And maybe there isn't any, maybe you were open-minded the whole time.
Yeah, I've always been super open-minded. I've always looked at both sides of the story. I've always seen things from every perspective. One of the things that drives me absolutely nuts in the world is like when people have different political views and they're like, well, I hate that person, we can never be friends. Oh, I can't believe they would ever think that, so I can't talk to them anymore. It's like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, but we're so cool. Like, we're pals. But in the last 5 years, I don't know if anything has absolutely rocked me. I'm always ready. I'm like, if something crazy happens, like, and I'm like this in, the real world too. If something crazy happens, I'm just like, okay. And like step 1, step 2, step 3, I'm extremely type A. So I don't know if there could be anything that would like absolutely rock me, that I would be like, oh no. Because going back to what I was saying at the beginning, it's like, I'm very grounded to my family, my friends, and faith and the outside world. So it's just important to hold onto that, I think. So whatever comes, and it's like, okay, but I've given my time. If it's doomsday, God forbid, it's like, okay, but you know what? I want to be proud of what I've done, not only my work life, but my personal life. And I know what's real and I know what's not. So just allocating my time to the appropriate places, to where it needs to be, to keep me not shocked. But if something shocking comes, like, let's go, baby.
Speaking of shocking, we've got DJ joining us now.
Yeah, so we got DJ. So thank you so much. This is the type of voice we need, so this is exactly why you do your job. We need that type of voice. And, when stuff starts to come up. DJ, you've been dying to pop in there.
Yeah, I finally got home, got in the studio. Wife brought the computer down and got it kind of set up for me. So that helped. Yes. So I appreciate it. Yeah. So to clear up a couple things, we were fascinated with when you mentioned Ross going to Egypt and that episode that he did with Ben Van Kerkwijk.
Oh my God.
this seminal, like when everyone wants to know about Uncharted X and what he's uncovered and his colleagues as well, like
So
Graham and
good.
so forth. I'm like, you have to watch the NewsNation interview
Yes.
with Ross and
Yes.
Uncharted X.
Mhm.
And on my birthday wish list is Ben Van Kerkwick.
Oh God.
Chris, yes.
I can probably give you his email address. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I love that episode. That's one of my favorite episodes. But like little side note, that was the hardest episode to produce ever.
Really?
Ever. Yeah. Okay. So here's
tell.
why. Here's why. There's a million pictures, a million pieces of evidence, a million things. And, they're all titled like image 1, image whatever. They're not titled like pillar with 90-degree cut with Calcutta stone. So it's like, oh, they talked about that goes there. So like I literally had to like go through that. And I was on live, like when they did that, I was on the recording live with Ross and Ben, like I usually am with all of them. And I had to go back like a million times. And I'm like, I think this picture is this one. I think this picture is this one. And it took, it was a nightmare. No one do that to me. If you want to come on with Ross, label your pictures correctly, please.
Well, you got those big boxes at Toshka at the Serapeum,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And DJ, there were 1,000 boxes. Okay.
I was blown away. I just like, I wasn't aware of all of that because I haven't read Christopher Dunn, and I was amazed. And that's when I think I was at the time I was talking to Bia and sent it to the cabbies. I'm like, oh my God, I want to have Ben Van Kerkwick. I want to dig in on this stuff.
God.
And it was better than the Rogan interview by far.
Oh, baby. Here we go.
Oh, no issues, man.
Yeah, no, love it. Love it. Ross rocks.
And the derivation of how Nathan said Ross's name, Ross Coltat, is because for some reason, when we became aware of Ross as a show in like 2021, and we started to like, just be a fan of him and his work and his reporting, for some reason, I pictured Sean Bean, the actor Sean Bean from National Treasure, saying his name, and I envisioned it being Ross Coltat.
He'd love that.
He would
love that. Yeah, that's right up his alley. Yeah.
So, all right. So all those things aside, you really fit in with Cab because it seems like nothing is going to freak you out that you've heard. Yeah. You're like, give me the information.
Maybe reptilians.
Okay.
Like that, but I don't like lizards. So
okay. So that
now
would be
that
a problem.
we're like thinking about it a little more, I think a reptilian would absolutely scare the bejeebers out of me. I don't think I've ever said the word bejeebers in my life, but oops, there it is.
Okay, so in terms of you requesting visitation from a non-human intelligence, we have mantids, okay, grays, okay, dementors like who visited Jim Semivan, okay, reptilians, not okay. You're gonna like pull the sheets over your head.
Yeah, maybe the mantis. Maybe not that, but
no.
I'll take it.
Leah, did you hear that? The mantids are out. She's gonna get out the bug
I'm sitting here thinking DJ's asking the hard hitting questions now.
Yeah, this is really important. I mean, a Nordic would be great.
Good choice.
That's fine. That's fine too.
Right.
But yeah, like, I just don't like lizards. So if the whole reptilian thing pans out, I'm going to be a little upset about that, but.
Okay. I'm sorry to hit you with these really tough questions. This is difficult. Okay. So, what do you think is awaiting us now? I mean, you and Ross are speaking about this, as sidebar conversations to the show. I'm assuming that he's not compelled by what the releases have been, but he's heartened by them. So do you guys surmise, and based on your unnamed sources, what's coming next in terms of fostering disclosure?
We are not exactly sure what is going to be coming next. We do have an inkling that there might be another drop on Friday. So we were just chatting about that, do we want to start thinking about that, or do we just want to wing it? And I was kind of like, wing it. But I can, wake up tomorrow and think about how we actually want to cover that when if they do come. But look, we've got a really great relationship now with a bunch of different congressmen and, Senator Rounds. So we're kind of in the trenches with them, chatting, seeing what could be possible. But yeah, I mean, we're close with David, and we're getting hints of what else could be out there, but nothing that, I can say for certain or for public release for sure.
Okay. Before I pass it to my colleague Leah Primetime, your interview question with an NHI, your first question is what?
Is the moon made of cheese? No.
Oh my God. No, monolithic structures are they?
Yeah. Lou Elizondo just said this.
Yeah.
You sure did.
We just tackled it in the Q&A. I would probably ask about God and Jesus and if we will be reconnected with our loved ones who have passed. Some short one version question of that would probably be the first thing I would ask.
That's a great one. In fact, Dan Sherman, if you read that book way above, I think it's Way Above Black. Back me up on that. It's about a 60-page book about Staff Sergeant Dan Sherman from the Air Force that was trained to communicate with NHI in the early 90s. He asked that question to the NHI. We'll talk about that in further detail later on. Leah, Primetime.
Yeah, sure. Kind of piggybacking on the questions that DJ was getting into, like UAP reporting keeps running into the same wall, which is it's like classified for national security, right?
Yeah,
like this
annoying.
comes out all the time.
Yeah.
What's your sense in your reporting? How much of this is genuine security concern versus kind of a shield to avoid accountability?
Well, look, I'm very skeptical of the government in general. I think if you watch Unreported, you probably have a sense of that from me. I really question everything. And I also think it's just like this like rat race of like, you know, we're telling one lie to cover another lie, but we also want to pretend like we're working, but we're not actually working. So it's hard for me to really believe.
There's a lot of misdirection.
Yeah. It's like, look over here because we're actually doing this and we don't want you to look at that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to look where you don't want me to look. I actually said like right off the top of an episode, maybe it went out today. And I was like, do you ever think that, you know, members of Congress are just like whiny baby losers or something? Which is probably not great for the brand, but it's hard to believe, right? Like, I think a lot of people want, again, to make it look like they're working. So they say things and do things when they know for damn well sure that their bill is not going to get anywhere or their effort isn't going to get anywhere or their caucus isn't going to get anywhere. I think that the biggest things that can actually happen are the UAP hearings when we actually have witnesses or reporters like George Knapp, my Vegas friend, actually go and give testimony. I think that's the biggest thing that can help move this forward. I think that the whole line of like national security or like we can't tell you is just a bunch of crap. Because they don't have the information anyways. It's owned by the deep state has it or this person has it or this person has it. So it's like you don't have access to it. You don't have the clearance. I'm sorry. So how could you actually know for sure?
Yeah. Right. Cool.
Boston. I'm sorry. Yeah. Did you have any follow up? You good, Leah? We good?
I was just thanking her. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Boston Bia.
So coming back around, do you feel that disclosure has made you feel more confident in the subject that you've been covering?
Yeah. I think that the movement that we've seen, especially in the last year, has been really encouraging. Anna Paulina Luna and Burleson and Burchett and all the guys coming together to kind of really push harder and then show up to these events like the Disclosure Forum or when I was in DC for James Fox's Virgin Had testimony, Burleson came and they're really putting their faces out there, which actually that does show me, okay, there's something here and it's warranting attention and they're talking about it. And like, let's not even forget, like, Trump has talked about it multiple times this year, things that we never thought that we would see. The president of the United States acknowledging, one time he said aliens and UFOs. And then one time he actually said extraterrestrials. And we're like, oh, whoa, he's actually using the word extraterrestrials. So it's like, what does he know? What does he know? I'm not exactly sure if he knows. Hopefully he's smart enough to ask for all of the clearance or to be briefed on it, unlike Obama. Not receiving the appropriate briefs on it to talk about it. But yeah, I think that what we've seen, this year alone, in the 6 months of this year alone, I think that there have been massive developments and events that have pushed this topic into the mainstream that is extremely positive. But I think it's important to, stick with the people like Ross, who are investigative journalists or super knowledgeable in these topics, to follow real trails and real stories and listen to this in long form. One of the things that I grapple with the most is like, I come from the TV background and the live news background and the short segments background. So I understand bringing somebody on and like, hey, you've got 4 minutes to talk to this anchor who knows absolutely nothing about the topic. And then you have to tell it in 4 minutes. And it's like, well, now it's misinformation, right? Like now the story is not even correct. Now it's misinformation. And it's like, you just are wanting the hit of like, hey, I talked about UFOs today and now I'm going to get the UFO crowd, which is vast, watching my show. But it's like, well, is that actually credible? Is that actually honorable to the topic? Like, are you actually invested in it? Probably not. But that's the business. So I think it's important to where you get your information and who you follow for it, just because a lot of people are trying to piggyback off of disclosure at this time.
Megan, so one of the originals of CAB is a study of UAPs.
Yeah.
And
hey again.
And we call her Debs on the show. And she just got done she had a late night at work tonight. That's why she's not here. So her question for you, obviously, is who else thinks it's crazy people were ever discouraged from discussing unknown objects in our skies?
Yeah, I mean, talk about national security. like the government's going to say like they can't tell us stuff because it's a national security risk. So it's like, well, if there's something flying over my head and we don't know what it is and you don't know what it is, that's national security. And that's actually affecting us as humans. So yeah, that is a little crazy.
That's a great way to put it. Let me pass it over to Money Nathan because we have about 13 minutes remaining. So we want to try to get in as much as we can. So go ahead, Money.
Yeah, I appreciate you spending some time with us. It's we've talked to a lot of folks with different perspectives on this, and I'm sure you've heard the gamut of different theories out there, and you often hear the divide being those that are interested in the nuts and bolts aspects of the phenomena, and those who are interested in the consciousness aspects of it. Yep. And I'm sure you've had really interesting conversations about both of those. On that spectrum, how would you plant yourself on the spectrum? Do you feel like, and has that changed since you've covered it?
I think it changes every day. I think it kind of just depends on you as a person. And I struggle a lot with the consciousness side and the spiritual side because I'm a type A stress ball. So it's like hard for me to like relax. And then like, I think about it all the time. I'm like, maybe if I just meditated or maybe if I just relaxed, like I would see, this next dimension, or I would understand something more, or somebody would come and talk to me. And then I sit down for, 10 seconds and I'm like, I can't do this. I gotta move on. But I think the consciousness aspect is absolutely there. And I applaud the people who, have opened their minds and have the ability to do that. But I just think it changes every day. I mean, I'm a journalist by trade. That's what my degrees are in. That's what my career is in. So that also makes the consciousness aspect hard because I want to present people with facts and I want to follow the stories and say, oh, hey, you said you were here on this date, right? Let me track this, or let me see a flight path, or this or that. So, it's hard to wrestle with the two beings because a lot of it is like we have to be credible. I mean, the time to make errors is not now, not when there's so many eyes on the topic and so many things happening and so many moving parts and literal UFO documents being dumped on us. Like, so the time is to be serious now and to get it right now. So I love talking about the consciousness side of it. Ross is so invested in that right now. He's done so much great work in that. And we talk about it all the time, the consciousness aspect, and he's extremely knowledgeable on it. But sometimes we just have to really deal with fact and what we can actually say and see and, convince more people that this is the real phenomenon. This is actually happening. And we should be asking our government to tell us the truth, or better yet, doing our own research and making up our own minds, because at the end of the day, if Trump doesn't say anything and the can kicks down, I mean, disclosure is going to come from the people.
Thank you, Megan. I guess I'd be remiss, and my friends from this community would be upset if I didn't bring this up. And I have heard Ross discuss this on the show.
Okay.
I've also heard your friend George Knapp, and who I have enormous admiration for George Knapp and what he's done for this topic. He's a monster. He's gigantor.
Yeah. Much love.
You guys have probably discussed this on the show regarding Bigfoot, or what they call in Sasquatch, or what they call in Ross's home country, the Yowie. So what would you surmise, with all that you know and all the sources that you have, why do you think that the government is obscuring information relative to Bigfoot?
I'm so glad you asked about Bigfoot. I love Bigfoot. I've covered Bigfoot on my show as well. I don't know. I don't really know why the government would do that, because I've talked to a couple people, and so is Ross, where there's the one theory that you keep seeing him because he's traveling. They are traveling through portals, and then I've talked to other people who are like, absolutely not. That's what adds to people not believing in this, when you add that mystical element to it. I don't know why the government would hide Bigfoot. I mean, the thing that kind of got me on the whole, hey, I believe in Bigfoot, was all the ancient folklore all mentions Bigfoot, and they all talk about it, and it's in all their hieroglyphics, so to speak, and all their ancient texts. And it's like, okay, so is this another thing? It's like the same thing with aliens, like or extraterrestrials, I should say, that makes it so compelling to me. It's like, you're telling me like thousands of years ago, this was literally painted on a wall. Like, we're not making this up. So that's what's compelling to me about Bigfoot, is that, I don't even want to call him folklore. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's cool. I think it's awesome to believe in Bigfoot. It's gone back generations and generations and generations. And I think it's just something that, probably ended up getting overlooked at some point in time, which might be the same thing with the phenomenon. But I don't know why the government would not want us to look at Bigfoot, unless maybe Bigfoot poop creates the best gas in the world. And that would really undermine our international relations standing, if we can't steal gas from other nations. 93
octane fuel derived from Bigfoot duty.
I mean, screw 0 point energy. Let's go Bigfoot poop. That's the only thing I could think of.
I mean, when you listen to some the content creators that are out there, and the list of credible people, just like the folks that you're interviewing about UFOs, there are very similar backgrounds that are interviewing people about Bigfoot sightings. In fact, Tim Burchett has spoken about it, and Mitch McConnell, and others that are kind of from rural states that families have seen this creature out in the woods. And I think that it kind of understands our tendencies, and to stay away and to be very cautious about approaching humans with fire sticks and so forth.
Totally. We have an editor on the show. His name's Tony. He's incredible. He was telling me the other day that somewhere in the northern Midwest woods, there's like a camp that you can go and camp out, and go and do the Bigfoot searches and stuff. And he was like, Megan, you have to do it for Unreported. We'll send you with a crew. It'll be incredible. Just think about it. It would be amazing. And I was like, yo, Tony, yeah, have you seen the Blair Witch Project? Yeah, that's basically exactly what we would get. So just cue up the Blair Witch Project and just roll that. Let's save us all the trouble. You don't need me out there in the woods looking like a sissy.
And avoiding, I mean, the way that they can avoid the trail cams is something that people are seeing them, but they're able to avoid and understand trail cams is what makes them so difficult. So you're right. People capturing them on film, other than that 1967 film, has been nearly, I don't, it's not impossible, because there are some videos out there, the Paul Freeman footage from the 90s and so forth. But yeah, they're very good at figuring out how to stay away from us. Yeah. So yeah.
Hey, believe, achieve,
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it goes to Akashi. We have 5 minutes remaining, so we'll get to as much as we can.
I'll make it quick, because how do you recover from Bigfoot poopy? But I do have I don't know, I can't be the one that follows that. But I do have a question, Megan. So you and Ross get along really well. Do you ever have to be the heavy? Have you had to go, Ross, maybe you shouldn't walk into that ledge or past that? Tell me about
all the time.
Cool.
All the time. I
Good.
said the other day, I might have said it on the show, I don't even remember, but I was like, I need a raise. I have been chasing you around, putting my hand over your mouth, pulling you in different directions. He is an absolute loose cannon. Like we were like at an event, and he like I don't even know where we were, and somebody was talking, and he's like, "I'm so bored," and I'm like, "You are screaming that. You are."
We can all hear you. Yeah.
It's not a whisper, pal. And then we were in LA at an expo, and a fan walks right up to him and is like, "Hey, Russ, tell me, what do you think about this with like Lou Elizondo?" And he just goes, da, da, da. And I'm like, "Yo, pal, like let's go. Like, are you like, is he recording? Ross, can you shut up? Like, what's the deal?" All the time. All the time. Yeah. He is a handful. He's an absolute handful. And he's like 6'4". I'm like, dude, like, what are we doing here?
You rock. You just keep doing that because sometimes he needs it. I'm glad you're there.
I think that there's some people who are like, "Oh, it's Russ Coldheart. Oh my God, we have to like cater to him." And I'm like, I'm not catering to this guy.
Yeah.
Like, no, like I'm shooting him straight. Like, I'm not having it. I'm not doing it. So, but I think he loves that I can kind of give it right back to him. I think that's what makes us kind of a good team at anything, really, is like, I can play off of him, and he knows that I'm going to not let his head get too big. Because that's also, I would say, part of my personal job description is like not letting Ross's head get too big. He was like telling us the story about all these people that approached him at the airport. And I was like, "Oh yeah, they did, Ross." Like, fine.
I
But
can
it's true.
relate to
They
you,
did. And he
Meagan.
deserves it. He deserves all the praise and all the love in the world. He's honestly fantastic.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Who's next? Who's
Prime
next?
time.
Because we're best friends now, but who's next?
Prime time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So Meagan, how do you think about navigating this tension between reporting and presenting ideas that maybe are at odds with your personal beliefs, or like what your personal view is on the subject?
It goes back to having an open mind and being willing to listen and letting people tell their truth and hear their story, and then, adjusting from there. If you are in a firm mindset on anything and you're like, I'll never think this way, or I'll never believe that. Like, you know what I said? Who did I say this to the other day? I wrote it down on my phone. It was, whatever you believe, whatever you tend to believe, you tend to seek out information that validates that.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
Totally.
For sure.
There it is. Thank you. That's how
Yeah,
you
you're
say
welcome.
it. I don't know what I was doing the other day thinking about that, but I think that stunts you, right?
Oh,
like,
for sure.
There's
Yeah.
a whole world, and if you can hear my dog hacking, I'm sorry. He's 15. He's over there giving it his all. I just think that stunts you, right? Like, there's a whole world out there of knowledge. There's a whole world out there of people who think differently than you. And wouldn't it be great if we just kind of like listened to each other and like kind of got along a little bit and said like, okay, like that's cool that you believe that. Like, I'm still your fan. Like, you still rule. And then we can kind of go on our merry way. So I think that's kind of how you wrestle with it, is like everybody has a different truth. Everyone has a different story. I 1000% respect everybody, and I always will show you respect, and I will always show you kindness. And I think that kind of makes the difference. So just because maybe I don't believe it doesn't mean that I can't hear it and digest it and think about it and then critically think about it on my own, and maybe even change my mind. Like, that's the beauty of conversation. That's the beauty of journalism and podcasting is, being open to other people's points of view.
Yep. Yeah. Love it. Totally love it.
Yeah, those are words that all of America needs to hear, no matter what the subject matter or context is. That is universal advice. It is an hour. We're going to say goodbye to Meagan. We're going to continue the conversation for a couple minutes, but we're going to go with Cabby goodbyes, beginning with Boston Bia.
Thanks again for coming on. I feel your pain with DJ, so you and I have that in common.
You get them, girl.
Always telling them to sit down.
Yeah.
And anyways,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for coming on. This was real fun, and we
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
everything
Yeah.
you told us tonight. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you guys.
Prime time.
Hey Megan, yeah, thanks again for making the time. For me, it's like it's a very cool opportunity to kind of get a peek behind the curtain and see backstage about how you're thinking about things and sort of the media space associated with the subject. So really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Absolutely. I hope I was helpful.
We enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Money Nathan.
Yeah, Megan, thanks again for joining us. It's been an incredible conversation. I'm a huge fan of you and what you're trying to do. And I thank you for the time and energy and effort that you've been putting into this, and the sincerity. You know, your authenticity just comes through. And the more people who are authentic, being their whole selves in this conversation, the better it is. So thanks for that. And hopefully we get to have a chat with you again in the future.
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
And Megan, finally, you brought your bright light to this channel, and like that, we really love to interact with people like you. We approach this with kindness and understanding and imperfection. And we really appreciate the work that you're doing and how you've contributed to bring Ross to the forefront. And you are obviously one of the original gangsters at NewsNation. So,
oh no, the
Can I get an amen from everybody for NewsNation?
Just want to get the facts straight.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Megan.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Take care. We'll see you around. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Nathan. Make us a Brady Bunch again.
Yes,
there you go.
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah. Wow. We're
gone.
There we go.
Wow. We literally disappeared. We were gone.
Try to keep it exciting.
Oh man, thank you. So what'd you guys think, man? That was so much. What a nice lady.
Amazing.
Yeah,
DJ rocks.
He's
You forgot Akashi. She didn't get to say goodbye.
I did.
Kind of said at the beginning, and like at the end of my thing, I said goodbye, and then he skipped me. But
It's
he's
okay.
used to doing that. That's okay.
No.
I was like, wait a minute.
I can give him crap about it later.
All right,
but
everybody,
no,
I want everybody to say their
I'll be
happy
hanging
goodbyes
out.
to DJ. We're gonna start saying our
I'll be
happy
hanging
goodbyes to DJ.
Unbelievable DJ. Amateur hour.
Real.
I do want to say, everybody, go check out Unreported. People in the chat, if you haven't seen the stuff that she is doing, it is awesome. And she goes into topics, like she's all over the place with different topics that are all things that we talk about all the time. So we need to go support her over there. And if Megan needs a mod, she can call me.
Yeah.
We're best friends now. DJ won't stand in our way, Megan.
No, I'm not getting in between your relationship.
He won't break us up.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, man. This was a lot of fun tonight. Tomorrow night, man, see if I can put that image. I don't know if that image is fresh enough, or if Kashi has it. Carolyn Clapper. We're gonna have on the Medium Carolyn Clapper to talk about her organic communication with John O'Keefe and what we may do in terms of a reading. It may or may not be public. We don't know. We're going to look into all that stuff with one of the cab attorney friends, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, Carolyn is really amazing. And you know what's funny, Akashi, when one of you asked her that question about that, she's wondering about communicating with people after life. And I didn't want to interject and say, oh yeah, there are people that can communicate with their spirits. Yeah.
That's part of it. That's part of the big phenomena. So interesting stuff.
So yeah, Ruby's checking in. So yeah, we're looking at, we're going to speak with her. Tomorrow will not be a reading. This is going to be Carolyn talking about her, from my Canadian friends, her process and so forth. And what her connection was with John when she talked to. And then July 20th will be a recording where she will read, and then we'll determine what we can or cannot do with it. So don't get your hopes up. But
Right. So tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, Ruby.
Right. Oh, great. Thank you. I forgot. Yeah, because it's 8 p.m. Central, which is what Carolyn wanted.
Yep.
She's in the Central time zone. So yeah. Final Cabby thoughts for anything that you've been kind of, because you were away in Ireland and stuff. So any thoughts, Nathan, you want to throw on us?
Yeah, I mean, I want to sort of talk a little bit about what Megan brought up, which I thought was kind of interesting. It at least got me thinking about. She talked about how to kind of onboard people to the topic, you obviously have to get them into the facts, and there's this. Obviously we're all accustomed to understand that very well. We grew up understanding and being exposed to the scientific method and all that kind of stuff. But it is an interesting aspect of our pursuit of knowledge and how we know things and how we understand the world, how we understand reality. And that is one avenue, one slice of what the phenomena appears to represent. And so I find that really interesting that, we're a society, a people, a world that, is at a place where we're generally trying to understand reality from a specific avenue, a specific vector. And if reality itself can't be adequately understood from that vector, are we ever going to get there? Are we ever going to be able to really have that conversation? So it's truly interesting, and only time will tell, obviously.
So, but Nathan, when you think about it, what is universal? What is it that has universal understanding? So I think some of us are gonna understand. I don't know if I'll be one of some of us, but some people, some humans will understand the connection in a fuller and deeper way, and some won't. The only things that are universal that I'm aware of, and I just want to say aware, is love, hate, fear. These types of things are sort of universal to these emotions, but I don't know what else is universally understood.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I would say experience is universal, that we all have experience. And that's really what we can speak to fundamentally, is that we have experience. And what falls outside of that, it starts getting a little bit more complicated and more subjective, we could say. And the nature of experience is subjective as well. But that we have experience, that's the one thing I feel like we can at least posit, or at least that I can posit, and then I assume that you too have experience. We're all making that shared assumption that the beings that share space with us are beings like ourselves who have their own interiority and have their own experience. Anyway, it's very interesting, and I totally understand her perspective on that, and why when you get into talking about consciousness and that aspect of the phenomena, it becomes much more challenging to mold a show around that, because it's not like, here's the paper trail and here's where the money went and here's the craft in the hangar, all that kind of stuff.
Chris, did you want to comment on Nathan's postulation there?
No.
Okay.
No, I do.
All right, Leah Prime. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I'm just thinking through everything that we've been discussing today, and I was actually thinking, Megan, sorry, Nathan, but because I was
for that.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be things are gonna call me. It's gonna be really interesting when things start going down and people start grasping what they're seeing, and I think people like Megan and like Nathan, or Bia and Leah are going to be, and of course DJ, are going to be so important to be able to carry people through this, because we're boiling so slowly that we don't even know that we're boiling, and we're going to figure it out soon. And when they figure it out, they're going to need more help, which is the mainstream. So sorry if I didn't relate to you at all, Nathan, on that one. My apologies.
You never have to apologize.
It was like dream weavering about Megan, obviously.
I know, and when Nathan talked about experience, I'm thinking, exactly. Nathan's thinking about. I was thinking about Jimi Hendrix. Are you experienced? But anyway, go ahead, Leah Primetime. Did you want to offer up something about what Nathan said?
Yeah, I think. I mean, one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about lately is how we all have different ways of looking. Right. And that to me, like, the sign of a well-integrated spirit and a robust intellect is being able to thoughtfully select our ways of looking in ways that are germane to our experience, right? Like, there's a way of looking at things as a technologist or as a scientist, and there's a way of looking at things as a Christian or a Jew. And I think that people, especially in and around this subject, have to grip their frameworks of how they look at things much more loosely if they're going to really engage with the subject without it being a destabilizing force in their lives. And I think that, you know, when it comes to this, I think the nuts and bolts phenomenon, or that component of the phenomenon is understandable and approachable when you have this like pure materialist, scientific, empirical perspective or way of looking. But the second you start edging into the consciousness side of thing, or life after death, or near-death experiences, or any of those constellation of subjects, that's when I think being really thoughtful about the models you use or your frameworks becomes really essential.
Yeah, it's not something that people, and I know we use this term a lot when we talk about this. We use the word metabolize or digest, and it is very difficult for a lot of people when you get into that arena. I mean, we once asked Vinny Adams on this show. We said, Vinny, you have a choice. What would you want to do? Would you want to go and be able to physically interact with the being or physically interact with the craft? And he said, the craft, man. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah, dude, it's like a race car.
Okay, yeah, okay, wow. Sure. I mean, they're very minimalist, so it's not like you're going to see a bunch of levers and, you know, gauges and knobs, but the being itself, I mean, who knows what you could experience if you got close to one and connected with one mentally and spiritually.
Dude, he's seen fire in the sky. He doesn't want to get anywhere near one.
That was a scary looking creature, man.
That's
and
right. And they're not all tall Nordics, unfortunately.
No, with handsome, beautiful hair, not needing hair gel or I got it. Boston Bia, any thoughts on that, on the on-ramp and why they're covering, if I'm not mistaken, Nathan, you're basically saying you understand why Meagan is covering it in this way.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Boston Bia.
Yes, I understood the assignment, DJ. Thank you for clarifying.
I just wanted to make sure, because like it's when you go all the way around the horn, a lot of times we forget what the original question was.
No, I know. No, but something that she said kind of resonated with me, because that's kind of how I feel about the whole thing. How, you know, our minds are kind of like sometimes we can be closed-minded. And I think the fact that she's saying almost word for word how I look at this whole subject, whether it be UFO or Bigfoot, it's, you know, I understand that I don't know everything, but I'm willing to listen and, you know, kind of take it in and I think that's, you know, a lot of people are close-minded. Like they don't want to think like this is how we know things are just you know, I don't want to know any more than what I already know. But I also think that when you keep an open mind, there's a lot to learn. And the curiosity factor, it's, you know, I'm always open to learning. So that's kind of what resonated when she was saying that.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, that's what Leah's talking about too. That kind of flexibility, you know, to entertain different frameworks and perspectives. It's so important, and that's why it's important to have conversations, right? When you allow yourself to be changed by somebody else, but through the act of conversation, like you create that vulnerability, and I know that's scary for most people. Most people don't like being vulnerable, but you know, creating that space where you can be changed is so important and critical. It allows for growth.
And that's Deb's saying right here, discovery is one of the best aspects of humanity. And it's kind of like I think this kind of could go back to the very early days of Nathan and I's friendship. The more certainty you have about what you know kind of stunts your ability to grow from what you don't know and what you want to discover. So it's not really thinking about how much you know and that you've decided that you've concluded on, but what more can I learn to open my aperture and see what I can make sense of, that basically has made me grow as an intellect and as a person, as a human being. I don't know if that might have been long-winded, but yeah, okay.
I was going to say one thing about Nathan's voice. I realized why I couldn't answer your question earlier, because Nathan, you're like ASMR, man. Have you tried? It's like you need to tap on the as you talk. You need to like get a pen and like click, because I'm like Dreamweaver, just listening to you.
Appreciate that.
How much you relax me.
If you need help going to sleep at night, just turn to this segment of the show.
Oh, Megan.
I got you covered.
Can you read the news for me?
That's right.
Yeah, first, Akashi Chris with the OnlyFans channel, according to Sarah, and now
Don't
Nathan
go
with
there
this.
again.
We need an episode. We have to all show our ASMR skills, you know?
There you go.
Some of us have
Yes.
some too.
My God, we should do all the news in
Yes.
ASMR voice. We can talk about it.
Yeah,
Leah, can you whisper in the microphone, Leah?
Isn't that like public? I'm trying to think of Fresh Air on PBS radio. What am I thinking of there?
NPR.
NPR. Thank you so much, Leah,
Terry
for the
Gross or something.
assist on
Oh,
that.
Terry Gross. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I know Tim is in the chat somewhere here, but I can't find him. Hi, Tim, if you're here. All right. We did the damn thing tonight in an hour and 15 minutes. Boston Bia and I and any other cabbie that's bored and just feels like joining tomorrow night, we'll be welcoming Carolyn Clapper. Check on Twitter X for that. And man, we have a conspiracy roundtable coming up. So we have with the conspiracy roundtable, we have Akashi.
I'm on Sunday.
No, we haven't.
I'm on Sunday.
We're working on a date. Well, okay, we can. No, we're working on a date that might be the 25th right now. But what we're looking at is a conspiracy roundtable. Dr. Tim Mounts from All Things Unexplained, Sati, Jay Boogie and Amy, Akashi, Ruthie Robles, our moderator, has not yet to see a conspiracy she doesn't love, and Boston Bia and I moderating. So we got that coming up. I think there is a science fiction writer that Kevin has that's will be coming up. Akashi is this Sunday with Hidden Symbols 2 on Mind Forked. Okay.
Yes.
Hidden Symbols dos, as you might say in Spanish. There you go. Yeah, we might get to see Akashi and Bia speak Spanish.
Dos, Ruthie.
There it is. Ruthie Robles.
Ruthie.
There goes Mel with it too. The Ruthie Robles really caught it.
One thing for the girls in the chat. Heaps. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll talk about it, later on text.
Inside stuff. Yeah, the cab mod chat is robust to say the least.
Peeps. The keyword is peeps.
And Akashi and Bia are in there also. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll be planning shows and so forth. Also, this platform is open for other cabbies to conduct interviews. So you may see Leah Prime doing a solo interview on here. You could see Kevin doing that. There's a Latin roundtable possibly in the offing with Boston Bia and Akashi. There's a Canadian roundtable with several of our Canadian friends in the offing. So we got a lot of things planned, and then whatever else the cabbies bring to me. Plus, Courtney connected when her voice heals up. So,
Wonderful.
okay.
Lots of good stuff coming up.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys.
Thanks all.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.